I would like to share my knowledge of the Men in Black. But first, I would like to ring the bell to call in higher vibrations so that we may be receptive to the knowledge that wants to come through in this sacred space that we are creating and holding it together with a shield of light. I will start with my experience of the Men in Black. I was becoming an adult, so I was in college, and I had this fascination with exploring what it means to be a star being. I really resonated with being a star being. And I was very fascinated by Pleiadians, Sirians, Orions, Lyrans. So while I was in the library at my community college, in the computer lab, I used to research, right? In my free time when I wasn't working on papers or receiving extra support from teachers, I would be researching on the computer about these different different cosmic beings. And at the time I was very new. I was very new to the idea of extraterrestrials. I'm sure we've all seen E.T. by Steven Spielberg, and I'm sure that we have seen some kind of movie on extraterrestrials as a child in our early adulthood. So naturally at this time I was going through a spiritual awakening. Again, I was about maybe 20, 21, and I was going through a very, very profound spiritual awakening where all my gifts and talents and strengths were being downloaded and downloaded and downloaded very, very quickly. So my experience of the Men in Black really opened the door to my relationship that I've had with them ever since. Okay, so my experience with the Men in Black was not something I was looking for. I wasn't hunting Men in Black on the internet. I actually was just fascinated by Pleiadians, and I was fascinated by people who resonated with being star beings and watching their YouTube channels. And I was very much drawn to ascension pioneers. That was really my go-to person at the time. I watched, hours of content from ascension pioneers, who is a woman who resonates with being a Pleiadian and resonates with the sort of Pleiadian vibration and space holding on this planet Earth. And in incarnational mastery within the Pleiadian experience. And I was very much watching a lot of her content, and I did not even have whatsoever an interest in Men in Black. I've seen the movie Men in Black with Will Smith, but I was not at all coming across Men in Black on the internet. Not at all. What brought about this strong connection with the Men in Black that I've had ever since was, oddly, at the time I was donating blood, and then I started to donate platelets, I believe is what it's called. And platelet cells, I believe that's what it is. And there was a time in college where I donated, this is I think my first time that I donated blood. And I went home that day and I was completely exhausted. It was something that doesn't work for me, donating blood. I never did it again, because I went home and I just immediately just crashed. I fell asleep. I didn't eat anything. I didn't drink anything. I was like pale, white, looking like a vampire. And I just fell on my bed, fell asleep within a couple minutes that I arrived. And, this was maybe about, I came home from my early morning class, which was, I didn't have any classes except the morning time. So I came home maybe like 11 a.m. and I was blacked out. I didn't wake up until it was like, I believe it was like 10:30 p.m. because I set my alarm because I would pick my mother up from work at 11 p.m. each night. So I went home. I probably went to bed probably like 11:30 a.m. and didn't wake up until 10:30 p.m. right? And probably more like 10:40 p.m. And there's this huge time that just blacked out. Like, I don't think I've ever slept that long in a while. And I slept in such a deep, the deepest sleep I've never experienced to this day. And, during that whole window of time, I had an ET contact. And that was the only ET contact, direct, like, where I was with them. They were in my room, or I was somewhere in a spaceship. I don't know, because I don't really remember the details. But I do know that I did have a direct contact with multiple extraterrestrial beings. And even to this day, I've had dreams, lucid dreams of connecting with different extraterrestrial beings. And kind of like almost like an astral realm type of experience, in which I would be contacted or have some kind of experience with different extraterrestrial beings. But this one was like, when I was going through this experience, my body was so heavy. I was sweating profusely. My bed was probably soaked. I remember floating into the ceiling, like almost like I felt like I was dying, because I remember I was detaching from my body, right? I literally felt like I was detaching and leaving my body in such a very spooky way. Almost like I imagine it's as intense as when you do an ayahuasca ceremony, or when all of a sudden you have a near-death experience and you leave your body, almost completely detached from your body. I felt that because I didn't even feel my body. It felt like dead weight to me. So in that time, I think the donation of blood did something to me that maybe alarmed these extraterrestrial beings that I've been connecting with through, researching them, like, all these Pleiadian and Arcturians and Lyrans, and, interest in Atlantis, Lemuria, pre-dynastic Egypt. So I think that there were some extraterrestrial beings that came to help me, because I remember waking up and feeling completely restored. Of course, I felt really like, sort of tired and real sleepy, but I didn't feel that. I felt very restored. I didn't feel violated. I didn't feel tampered with in a way that took my life force or taking my energy. I didn't feel that. I felt very much restored. I do remember that in a very like weird way. It's almost like I knew that something went down that I don't have full memory of. So after that, that's when I really started to get a lot of downloads about these extraterrestrials. So, at this experience where these extraterrestrial beings that were not Pleiadians, I do know that they were not Pleiadians, they were not Arcturians, Orions, they were other types of extraterrestrial beings. I call some of them were the deer beings, okay, which you can meditate upon the deer beings, which is connected to the Sirian, okay, the Sirian system with the Sirian sort of extraterrestrial beings. And I do remember there was all other Sirian beings of different species. It was like there were different species of extraterrestrials known as the deer beings, as well as the feline beings, Sirian feline beings. But there was also two other groups that I don't know that I feel could have been a Zeta being very tall, gray type of ET. But there was also another that could have been somewhat in a close resemblance to Anunnaki. But again, I don't know, right? Because this is so expansive, this information, all of this memory, right? It's just something that you just don't experience in the 3D on planet Earth as this type of human being that we are. So I feel like they not only, when I kind of went back into a sort of regression, right, to recall the event, I do know that they did sample my blood. I do know that they replenished my blood at the same time. I do feel that they went out of their way to help me. Like, they didn't have to help me, but they went out of their way to safeguard my energy that was leaking. Like, there's I was leaking energy, like almost like leaking energy so much so, like aurically, that I could die. Because my aura was like dumping out energy because of the tear in something in me. So they completely restored me back to health. Like, they repatched my aura, they balanced out my blood. That also helped to heal my mind, because I think the lack of blood was doing something to my brain that was very, dangerous, possibly, because I wasn't drinking, I didn't eat anything, I was just passed out, and I didn't even have anybody in the house. So all I had was my alarm, right, as a way to kind of jump me out of that sleep. So, before this event, I would be kind of connecting with different extraterrestrial beings through meditation, a lot of sort of connecting with ascension pioneers and learning about what it means to channel, right? Like Edgar Cayce, channeling information. I was working on advancing my psychic gifts. So I was taking courses, I was doing classes on like how to connect with my angels, how to become more psychic, how to, what is intuition? How do I tap into my wisdom of my Akashic record, right? So I was doing all of that. And I think that's why I was able to remember that event even to this day, is because I did some development. I was working on my psychic abilities at that time very strongly. And, the one thing that seemed very, very rememberable about why they came to me, because I asked myself, why do they come to me, right? Why didn't they just let me just, go through it? And just like a hangover, right? It's like a hangover, you go through it, the worst of it, right? And what I received is that I was dying. Of course, I think, well, donating blood, like, that shouldn't be a huge you shouldn't die. but because there's something about me that there's something about, I don't know what it is, genetics wise, that is not, it's not good for me to do certain like pharmaceutical things, right? Or even donating of certain things. Some kind of, I don't know what it is, but so they went out of their way to restore my health, but also they told me that I am connected to them and that I am very much, I volunteer to come to this earth already a part of like a galactic confederation or a galactic like community of many star beings who volunteered to come to earth at this time to start a new species of human being in the generations to come. And the kind of interesting thing is when, you know, the Men in Black came pretty much like a week later, you know, I started to receive them, almost felt like telepathically. And for me, I'm not into real telepathic, you know, but I was getting some weird telepathic images, messages. I was feeling somewhat watched. I used to come out of school and it was, you know, maybe, and I would just feel like there's just another, like I'm being, like there's somebody tapping into me, right? Like I would feel that, but when I would kind of meditate on who this is, I would get an image of a man in a black suit, a very tall person in a black suit. So, you know, that's when I started to just come across it. And, you know, this went on pretty intensive for about a week after the event. This only happened after the extraterrestrial experience. Okay, and I've seen the sky. I think I've probably, you know, looked and prayed upon the sky and you know, at night, and connect through Pleiadians, through, you know, UFO sightings, you know, but no, I didn't get no Men in Black contact because of that. I only got it because of a direct contact from extraterrestrial beings that actually materialized in the 3D, 4D, 5D. Okay. And I think now that I'm older and many years have gone by, or not many, but some, I realized that there's several extraterrestrial beings that were taking part in this experience that I had, okay? And I think because, you know, the Men in Black are very much, their sort of responsibility is to sort of surveillance any sort of extraterrestrial contact with humans, and also just to surveillance extraterrestrials in general throughout the many realms and dimensions on Earth, right? That's kind of like they, or, you know, kind of almost police that, right? They almost police that to police the different, you know, the different extraterrestrial beings. And they definitely have a real investment in those humans who have a direct contact with extraterrestrials. They definitely do have they have a real investment in these type of people, humans, and it's very rare. I almost got that they've only really made contact with maybe less than, maybe like 100 or 200 less people on this earth, right? And we have 0.7 billion, so less than like maybe 100 or 200 people have had a real experience with the Men in Black, right? And I think it probably will grow more as people start to get more extraterrestrial direct contact, because that number of people who are having these experiences is just going up every day, okay? So, but they don't really connect with humans. Humans, they don't want humans to know about them. They don't want to connect with humans. They just do their own thing. They're very neutral. They definitely don't really have an interest in what we're doing, like in our, our karma and our, our reincarnation. They don't really have an interest in participating in that, or like observing that, or getting involved, right? They only will get involved or observe those humans who actually are a part of any sort of extraterrestrial type of thing. Okay, that's when they have an interest in humans. But average human, which is like the majority who most likely don't have, a direct connection with extraterrestrials, I don't think they don't really go around them. They're just like, let them, reincarnate and go play out their karma, right? I mean, we're going to do our own thing. But I would consider them like the police. Like they police the realms and the dimensions and the extraterrestrial beings that are associated with the realms and dimensions. Because I feel like they have access to the full spectrum of the realms on Earth and the dimensions on Earth. I feel like there are 7 dimensions of Earth. There are lower dimensions or higher dimensions. And they're like almost gatekeepers. So it's almost like if you want to cross through these realms or dimensions that have to do with like almost like different like planetary like timelines or different planetary systems, or if you want to connect with these different extraterrestrial like these different extraterrestrial like realms. It's almost like they have their own realms, or they have their own kind of systems with that are also in collaboration with Earth. You have to you have to go through them, like gatekeepers. They police the doorways that, like, even when you go through the astral realm, there's certain like doorways that you have to go through to get to these sort of realms that connect to these extraterrestrial beings. And they also police humans. Like, they won't let extraterrestrial beings, like, come to just, a town and say, hey, I'm a Pleiadian, and show their face. Like, they will police that. So it's really, I see them like, they're like the third man, right? So it's like between the human and the ET. They're like the in-between, like the third man that makes sure that, everything is good, right? That there's no human ET like type of like tampering with free will or tampering with each other, right? So what I discovered really early on about the Men in Black, when I started to gain knowledge on them, is they're highly, highly telepathic. They're probably the most telepathic species on this planet. And they're also the most ancient species on this planet. They're the oldest human that dates back millions of years. But they don't originate from Earth, but they're the oldest, like, human, we'll say, of Earth. Now, where they originate, I don't know. I always got a connection to the planet Nibiru, which is like an orbit outside of it's a far orbiting kind of planet with a sort of wanky orbit. I kind of had a connection to that. But they're very mysterious. They're very unknown. They very protect their energy and protect themselves from those tapping into them. So they don't like humans like being aware of them, because they're so telepathic. They can feel, even me talking right now, they can feel they can feel that energy, right? They're so telepathic. And so sensitive, very, very sensitive. But the Men in Black, so what I experience is something what other rare people have experienced, which is, you get the intense sort of telepathy, which it comes through not as like you're getting a message, like they're talking to you. No, it's just you're getting visions. Your whole psychic ability is enhanced like 10 times fold because of the telepathy. You're also getting like feelings that are not your own, or you're getting like this knowledge about the being that's connecting with you that is just coming to you oddly. Like you'll just be reading a book and then get this huge download about this being and who they are. And they won't tell you like, I am this being and this is what I do. And no, you'll see it. It's almost like you merge your consciousness with theirs, and you take on their consciousness, and you get to almost experience their consciousness as your own mind. It's different than the telepathy that we think of, like I'm sending a message for my friend to call me type of thing. It's not that type of telepathy. It's much more advanced. It's like somebody is almost transferring their knowledge into your mind temporarily to give you almost a physical, spiritual experience of the knowledge that they want you to know. And it's knowledge that has nothing to do with this is their name, this is what they do, this is who they are. And it's really like that telepathy almost felt like a astral projection experience, like I was actually brought to that place, right? So when I connect with the Men in Black, I always found them underground. Always underground, massive tunnels, very scientific, very analytical, very logic, always connected to something that had to do with human DNA. And the reason why they allowed me to have the knowledge, okay, this is important, because they will not share the knowledge of the Men in Black with just anybody. And they made that very clear. They're actually very strict. Talk about police, being very of the book, follow the rules. They no leeway, they're very, very strict about their rules. But with humans that are part of the hybridization program, they are allowed the knowledge. But those who are not, there have been humans who have had contact with Men in Black through, extraterrestrial personal experience. And they maybe have been obsessed with wanting to track the Men in Black, obsessed with getting the knowledge from them. And these people were brutally rejected, right? Because that's how strict they are. You have to have a certain type of relationship with extraterrestrials that has to do with you actually, being a part of some kind of extraterrestrial group. If you're not a part of this extraterrestrial group or something, or the Galactic Federation or Galactic Council or extraterrestrial council or something, you're not going to get the knowledge, right? It's not a part of your karma, right? You haven't built up that karma to get the knowledge from the Men in Black, okay? But those humans who are part of council, like Galactic Council, will get the knowledge from the Men in Black and will be allowed at certain times to speak. Okay, and I think before I was not allowed to speak about Men in Black, or I felt real resistance. Like every time I'd speak about it, I felt shut down. I felt weird. Like I just felt in my gut like I shouldn't be doing this. So I didn't. But because of what's going on the planet right now, and because we are going into this Aquarian age, it's actually, I'm allowed to speak about it now. I actually feel that, because I don't feel like the turning in my gut and the weirdness, like I'm being watched in a way that is like almost like a parent, kind of watching you, because they know that you're doing something that you're really not supposed to be doing, and they're just kind of staring at you with a very stern kind of very parental, authoritative look. I don't feel that. I feel like I'm allowed to express this. So, the Men in Black, I've always seen them underground, long cave systems. I feel like they don't get much sunlight. Their skin is very pale. I saw their eyes almost white. Their eyes can actually see into all the realms and dimensions. Talk about auras. They can see way beyond just a person's aura. They can see a person's like chakra system. They can see the person's 10 bodies, their arc line. They can see basically into a human soul. They can see the entities around a person. They can see maybe the entities within the house. Like they can see the darker realms, like the ghost layers. Maybe they can even see into the, the hell being type of realms. They can also see into the angelic realms, the even ascended being realms. Like they can see it all within their eyes. And when I remember like connecting with their eyes, they're always wearing black like really black tinted sunglasses, always, because they're so light sensitive, because their eyes are super like high def to the color, the colors within the spectrum, which is there, I would say maybe 600 times more developed than the human eyes. Like that, it's real intense. And it's almost like they can switch on, like they can switch the, like, I don't know, the eyes, like they can do different filters in the eyes, like to see into different realms and dimensions just through like consciously filtering their eyes, right? Almost like you think of those ancient, not ancient, but those old glasses where you could like, there was like 10 little glasses, and then you could just move one up and then you get a different like view, right? Like those little glasses, one's on top and there's 10 of them, and you just basically move it up and move it down and you get a whole different like view of what you're looking at. It's kind of like that. They also had a very like, they were tall, probably like 6 foot. I've only seen men. I don't ever see female. I don't know if the female look like men or if they're all like asexual. Maybe the men and the female are like the same type of thing. I do always see them kind of, their skin is very pale, definitely very white. Pale, but it almost felt like wet, or like they were like in between realms. It's strange. It's like they're not physical. They're not a ghost. They're not transparent or translucent all the way, but they're like, when you feel them, it's like it's almost like they're vibrating water. Like when you think of water vibrating, you can see ripples. It almost looks like it's moving really fast. Like it almost looks like they're moving really fast. Like it's like they're moving through different realms. Like they can pop in and pop out. Like they know how to materialize and dematerialize. It's almost felt like they're aquatic, but they're not. It's strange. I don't know what kind of skin they have, but it's definitely not a human skin. Their skin is very thick, maybe thick like aquatic, right? Like an aquatic animal, because aquatic animals do have thicker skin. But their skin, it almost felt like it was constantly vibrating, and almost like you could feel their skin like would ripple, like almost looking at water rippling. That's why I feel like they had like, it looked wrinkly, like but vibrating. Very odd, strange. And they wear the black, right? I always wondered, why do they wear the black suits? Like, is that a signature? Is that a statement? And I think they said it is a statement. It's actually they're like a police wear a uniform. That is like their uniform. So they are dealing with multiple extraterrestrial groups, dozens, not just some extraterrestrial groups I don't even know about, and humans have no clue about. It's a lot. And when an extraterrestrial being comes across a person in a black suit, that extraterrestrial being is actually, many of them feel threatened. And many of them feel very like the Men in Black have a real type of, they've definitely left a mark, an imprint on a lot of extraterrestrial beings, because extraterrestrial beings take the Men in Black seriously. Men in Black are seen as like the police, in some ways, but different from what we think as police, as in usually they have a gun. They don't have weapons. There's no weapons. There's no guns. There's no knives or any of that. Their way, they simply peacefully mediate, right? Or try their best. But don't get them wrong. They're very strict and serious, and they're very harsh, and they can be scary to those humans that or extraterrestrials, vice versa, that are not meant to get the knowledge. If you're not meant to get the knowledge, or you're not meant to cross through this dimension, or this, you're not allowed to be in this realm, or you haven't earned the karma, or it's not a part of your soul's agreement, or you're tampering or violating, they will come in and they will let you know. And they're sort of intimidating. So it's a kind of feeling where it's like, ooh, like I don't really want to go against the Men in Black, because they are for the highest good of all, I feel. And sometimes the highest good of all may come across as like very, like seeming like super protective, in the way that if they don't want you to have the knowledge, they will not be nice to you, right? And that's just being polite. Because I feel like humans who have been obsessed with the Men in Black have gotten rude awakenings where the Men in Black have maybe even threatened them. I feel like Men in Black have threatened humans, because some humans just get obsessed, obsessed with the knowledge, get obsessed with like digging for information. And they're just like, nope, it's not in your soul's agreement. It's not a part of your karma. You're not a part of this council. Only people who are part of the council get to, right? And there's so many councils. It's not just, one council. There's a plethora of different councils within different extraterrestrial groups. And for me, I think I'm a part of a council that's the same council that is associated with the pre-dynastic Egyptians. And I think that's why I was granted like access, like you need an access code type of vibe. And, there are several humans who are a part of different extraterrestrial councils who have come to Earth as a volunteer to help transmit the message from their extraterrestrial group, okay? Because a lot of the actual terrestrial being like Pleiadians, they need humans like Pleiadians to incarnate as a human to channel the wisdom of the Pleiadians. Because, the best way to really get the clearest message is that you have to have a direct like evolution with these beings. Like you have to already have a mastery with them, or you've already have karma, like a not necessarily negative or positive. Karma is different to the universal flow. Karma is just about you have experience with these groups, okay? So therefore you've earned the knowledge, right? Channeling the Pleiadians but not actually having experience with the Pleiadians, or like actually being a Pleiadian, is a very different channeled message than actually have been Pleiadian for many life cycles. It's very, very different. So the Men in Black, they know that they're ancient beings on Earth that are humans. They know that they're star beings, and they know that there's more coming. And, a lot of beings who are in council with Pleiadians or Orions or Sirians, it's like they get access to the knowledge, right, of those dimensions and those systems. But if you don't, right, if you don't have the key, or you don't have the frequency match, the vibrational synchronization with the Pleiadians or Orions, you won't right? Right? And they know what is best, even if humans or extraterrestrials are not very like, they don't agree with the Men in Black. But I feel universally with extraterrestrial beings and humans, all of them meet the Men in Black. Like when you start to go into like higher vibrations in which involves astral projection or remote viewing or lucid dreaming to you can actually go to other planets when you dream, not just dimensions, but you can actually other planets. If when you do that, you will definitely meet a Men in Black. You will have a contact. Because if you're going through doorways that leads to other planets, like if you're going through portals, not portals, wormholes, like you're going into wormholes through the ether, the blue ethers when you dream, going beyond the matrix, going beyond the astral realm that has to do with the karmas, you will meet a Men in Black at some point, because in order to cross through these different portals and wormholes to get to these different planetary systems where these extraterrestrials are, you have to meet them, right? Because they're the gatekeepers. They oversee all interactions between humans, other species, maybe whales, dolphins, with extraterrestrials, to keep the balance. So the checks and the balance, so nobody's violating, no free will is being tampered with, right? But so getting more into the knowledge of the Men in Black and why I can connect with them or have in the past. So, I'm not going to share the names that I have received, because that is of my own personal, for my own personal connection and personal knowledge. But I will say that their names is letters and numbers. Their names is letters and numbers. It is not John, Julia. It's not these names we think of humans, right? It's numbers and letters combined. Just like when you think of for the group, the K-12, it's like that, right? K-12, which is seen as, the K-12 is about the sort of the blue book project, which again is about extraterrestrials and the sort of reverse engineering of crashed UFO ships. It's very much like K-12. I feel they have three, like, it's almost like it could be 2 letters and 1 number. Or that's what I found. I've always found 2 letters and like 1 number. Okay, so that's their name. And the one that I've connected with was right after this experience, and he came to me seeming very adolescent as a Men in Black, but he also seemed very like old. Like their time of being born is different. Though he looked to be adolescent and around my age, I think that he was could be hundreds years, or at least 100, because I think maybe they can live to be 300. It's really strange because of their DNA is I don't know what it is, but this person was adolescent, and I started to connect, through this weird visions and this telepathy, starting to see it, and I started to go underground tunnels in dreams, and it was just a really kind of bizarre type time in my life. And when I started to accept, okay, I'm receiving in sort of interdimensional communication from a Men in Black member who is very different from the cold, sort of stark and stoic elite, the older, like the one who really, they look old and they act old, like very logical, very like got the stick up the butt, on no emotion at all. They have no emotion, but this person had some emotion. This person felt funny. It wasn't just serious and like uptight, like speaking to somebody that is just like real just intellectual. Like there's just no joy, no thought of joy, or no fun, no pleasure. It's almost like they have no pleasure, no joy, no like playing and dancing and singing. Like they don't have that. But this one, this adolescent one, he did have some of that. He had a sort of humor, some kind of happiness or expression of that. It wasn't just a cold face. And this person, this Men in Black person spoke to me and said that he was a hybrid. And at the time I was like, I was not into hybridization programs. I didn't even think that was possible. I definitely was not researching that. And when he said he was in a hybrid, I was like, whoa, what's going on? Like, I also was like asking him, why are you contacting me? Like, okay, I got your message, right? When you banged on my wall, right? Which was you can even look that up on like Google about other people having experience of a Men in Black statement when they give you a single bang on your door in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., loud bang, and you feel it. You can feel that you've been marked. You feel it. You feel like you've been watched. You feel like you've been someone's been watching you before that, and then you get the one bang, 3 a.m., usually on a time that's probably very synchronicitative, and then you research and you find I'm not the only one that's had the single bang after feeling watched for days and having all these weird dreams and visions and telepathy and feeling like your mind is you're tapping into a mind of a Men in Black where you're seeing all these ETs and you're like, whoa, like I don't know if I can handle all that. And then you get the bang and it's the mark. Other people have had that. Few, rare, it's not in the thousands, but people have had that as a statement. And after that it started to cool off, and that's when my Men in Black buddy who I console with, right, when I even channel, even now I'm consoling with this person. It's always this person who's like I console with them. Whenever I'm trying to connect with Men in Black, I always go to this person first. It's like my eyes and ears, right? So this person is a hybrid, and hybridization program is what he's a part of. And that's why he can feel, a part of the very distinct, what was very distinct about the Men in Black is that they don't feel. They don't feel at all. And they have no human experience of emotion, pain, sadness, happiness, joy, laughter. It's just stoic, their whole existence. Like almost imagine like just a grandfather who is completely just not there, like no emotion, just logic, right? And this younger Men in Black, this hybrid, could feel. This hybrid, understood would connect with compassion. Would connect with me, and when I was sad or when I was like really happy, he could feel that, and he could feel it as it was his emotion. That's how empathetic they are to an extreme degree, right? But they just don't take it in emotionally. They take it in logically, okay? That's why they don't, when we think of empathy, like I'm feeling your emotions, they sort of feel empathy extremely, most extreme, but they take it in logically, so it becomes thoughts. The reason Men in Black don't like to be intermingling with humans is because when Men in Black connect with a human and emerge and interlock their consciousness through telepathy, they actually start to take on the thought forms of humans. And because humans have such thought forms that they don't like, I'll just say that, they don't like a lot of humans' thought forms. Some of the very, very uninvolved, I'll just say that word. they don't like taking them on because it really can affect their mind, because their mind is so hyper active, hypersensitive. And because humans have a very chaotic mind and belief systems, programming, wiring that can be even very destructive, habitual sort of patterns of karma in the mind, the Men in Black can take that on, and it can really mess with their mind. It can really, really mess with their mind because they're so sensitive. So that's why they don't talk to humans. They definitely don't want to have humans reaching out to them, because they don't want anything to do with the human's mind. Only the, certain humans that are part of their agenda, right, or a part of a galactic confederation agenda, right, for this planet, who have to do with the evolution of the human species, basically. So who have an investment in the evolution of the human species from a galactic council in their most recent life before this incarnation. So I understood that I will have some kind of involvement in hybridization program, which has to do with basically Homo sapien 2.0, which is about human evolution, human in the next couple generations being different than any of the human before. Okay. Of course, influenced by the technology age in, the genetic mutation and genetic, experiments that's going on, that will continue to go on as DNA, RNA will be mutated and cloned and refashioned and, experimented on. This hybridization program has to do with extraterrestrial DNA and human DNA connecting. So, he showed me that there are already hybrid children who are like half Pleiadian and half human. And a lot of them live in places, secret places, hidden away, usually places near a mountain, sacred mountains that all across this planet, not just in, one place, but, they're coming more out. They're not going to be so hidden because they're going to be accepted by humans in the future to come. They're just being hidden now in small communities near mountains. I always see mountains, like snowy top mountains, but at like a really nice temperature, and protected by their guardians who are humans. And a lot of these hybrids, they were taken from the mother. Like, the mother is impregnated for a certain amount of time, and then I think that the fetus is taken. I don't know how they do it. I don't know what goes on, and then they're placed into a community that's on Earth, but it's almost like the community's inside a dome. Like, it's protected, almost like it's on Earth, but it's hidden. Like, even if I were to go to that exact mountain or geographic location, I wouldn't even see it because it's hidden. You have to go into another dimension to see them. Like, they're cloaked, like invisible, huge cloak around these communities all across this planet, where these hybrid community, hybrid kids are growing, and some of them are my age. A lot of them are pretty young, though. I don't think there's many past, like, 28. A lot of them seem very young. There's maybe, I don't know, hundreds by now. Or close. Right? And these have to do with the Pleiadian. Now, there's a gray type of, right? But that has to do with the gray ET going extinct. And they're needing human DNA because their DNA is so mutated that they are not even able to procreate, because they have destroyed their DNA over many funky experiments that they've done on themselves and their kids for way too many generations, to the point where it's like you get too many plastic surgeries, and then you start to look real. You can't go back. You're too far gone. So the Greys are trying to basically redeem themselves, okay, and repair the damage that they done out of just complete arrogance with their technology. Just like, well, if we mutate it again, or if we do another dose and change the DNA again, maybe it will look better. And it just got worse and worse. And then they started cloning, because they couldn't, do any more mutation, too far gone. The DNA was basically, it's damaged. So they started to clone any clean, pure DNA they could find. And then that didn't work, So that is a different program. That's a different hybridization program that's more aggressive, is what the knowledge I've shown. It's more aggressive, because the Grey, they really have a karma of they are extincting themselves. So this is where this is about taking human semen and egg. Maybe they will take a fetus, or they will put a fetus in a woman and then take it later, maybe second trimester, I'm not sure, to make sure it's stabilized before they take the fetus. But I think most of the time they just take the egg and the semen, and then they create their own artificial womb inside of their, test tube type of thing. And then they mostly do that. I don't feel like a woman actually carries the child. I think into pregnancy, I feel like the eggs are just taken and they do it on their own, their own test tube type of thing. But the Pleiadian hybridization program, that is where women actually experience being pregnant. Like, they actually experience, they have sex with their spouse or their boyfriend, girlfriend, and then they get pregnant, and then just oddly disappears, or oddly, it just disappears. And not even through miscarriage or anything like that. It just, it was never there. It was just never there. But the mother knows, she knows, okay, there was something in my body. I just know, right? So that's the Pleiadian hybridization program that I'm talking about. And I don't know necessarily what I have to do with that, because I don't really know what I would do about that, except maybe helping these hybrid children be introduced to the planet, the public, public schools, coming from out of hiding and starting to integrate them into society. I think maybe that could be something that I will do in the future, right? Because there's young ones, but a lot of them are pretty under 28. A lot of these Pleiadian hybrid humans, they're not that old. I don't see a 6-year-old Pleiadian hybrid. There are some, but the vast majority that is under this hybridization program that has to do with Aquarian age, particularly with this agenda, Pleiadian agenda, is pretty new. The mass amount of them that are happening is pretty much right now, in the last maybe couple decades. So that's why I have connection to a Men in Black personally. But the Men in Black, they're very, very harsh. They don't want to, the elite ones, the older ones, the ancient ones, I don't really connect with them. They won't connect with me directly. Or it's very stoic. It's very cold and detached, and there's not much, But this hybrid one that's a Men in Black, almost a Men in Black in training, there's other ones connected to this one as well that I know. I think I've connected maybe 3 or 4 different ones, even received their name, and they're all very they're very supportive. Like when I ask questions, they're very supportive. But there are some Men in Black that they don't support humans getting information from Men in Black. Because they are really policing the balance between humans and these other realms and dimensions and ET, interactions. So with Men in Black, and they will only really connect with people who have open minds. They don't really want to connect with people who are judgmental, who have belief systems that the type of definitely the type of people who are sitting there watching ETs and thinking, I'm gonna go get my gun. Oh no, they're not gonna connect with these people. They really mostly connect with certain young people, right? Younger generation, older generations as well, but I'm seeing more and more younger generations having more connection and contact with the hybrid kind of Men in Black group, is because these younger generations, there's a lot of star beings within them, like a lot. And there's also, these younger generations also have more of a cosmic awareness, and they're not so indoctrinated by past karmas and past belief systems that have been designed to really separate human from its interstellar consciousness, which is how you access the Men in Black or the ETs. So there's a sort of openness of the mind, right? If you're judgmental and you're very critical, they don't really want to take those belief systems on. Like I said, when you connect with them, they basically take on your mindset. They take on your beliefs. They take on your core mind. And if you have so much judgment and belief systems, and your mind is so earthbound, where you've not even connected to a realm beyond your own, they're just not going to be interested, right, to take on this beliefs, because their awareness, like I said, they are constantly moving from one realm to another dimension, to another planet. They're the masters of remote viewing, the masters of astral projection. They can remote view anywhere at any time. So a question, how do the Men in Black find you? If they bang on your wall, how do they find you? Men in Black are drawn to portals. When you have a connection or interaction with an ET direct, it takes a lot of energy for an extraterrestrial being of usually higher than a seventh dimension, such as Pleiadians. It takes a lot of energy to materialize into a third or fourth dimension. Okay, and when you do that, it leaves a huge portal behind. And the Men in Black, they can track these portals. They can GPS to these portals, because they have awareness of every portal on this planet and where every portal connects to. Every wormhole, every portal, they know about it. So if all of a sudden a portal appears in some small town in Kansas, and they've never seen that portal there before on their sort of, planetary GPS of portals, they will come and investigate. And when they investigate and they see in this house in some town in Kansas has a young girl who is researching ETs, and they can sense there's been ETs interacting with this young girl, they will investigate further, and they will want to know, okay, why are they interacting with this little girl? And then they'll start to read into the little girl's her soul. They'll read into her Sachic record, and once they read into her Sachic record and they see, oh wait, she's a part of the Arcturian Council, and her incarnation in the human body is to share a particular knowledge on this Arcturian invention, they will be like, okay, that let will support this. But if they come and they see into the Akashic record that that human, right, does not have any contract or not contract karma or any sort of real purpose, right, with these ETs or, you know, this group that's you know, that they're having interaction with, they will block it. They will erase your memory. They will block it so that you will never, you know, be in contact with these ETs again. So it's not so much, it's about the safeguarding of the human. Like, if you're not ready for it, they'll just block it because, you know, you have to, it's sort of like you have to build up the karma to be able to, like, you can't just say, I'm ready because I'm arrogant and I just want to hunt the UFOs, like, with my camera and get all the information from the men in black so I can share it with the world in some sort of arrogance, right? They can see right through that. You have to have it in your Akashic record. You have to have it in your soul's blueprint that you have some kind of, you're part of some kind of council with these groups, right? And also the extraterrestrials, they speak on behalf of humans, right? And they will tell the men in black, hey, this human is a part of, we're working with this human because this human is going to do this, or is going to help us with this, is going to channel this information. So, you know, the men in black, they work with the portals. They're aware of all the portals on this planet, like little GPS marks, and they're aware, and there's a lot of portals on Earth. I mean, it's pretty extensive. They're portals that they know. But they can see fluctuations. They can see portals closing, portals opening, and then they see massive portals, which is usually in when an ET, UFO, either UFO sighting that is more in direct contact with human, or like a real ET, you know, face to face with a human. A huge portal opens, like huge, the most, you know, very massive, and they see that, and they investigate to see why. But the men in black are very private. They're very secret. You know, they hang around. Hey, you may even, you know, see one if you're going to like a, you know, you're like in some kind of bar in the middle of the mountain, and you just walk in, and all of a sudden beside you is some men in black person. That's what, and then all of a sudden you go to the bathroom, come back, they're gone, because they can materialize in and out of reality so quick. So you may see one, and you look back, and they're gone, because their energy is vibrating so high. They're seventh dimensional beings, but they're masters of knowing how to transform they can go to low vibrations and high vibrations just like a snap of a finger. While us as human beings, it takes almost centuries to really raise our vibration to a point where we can successfully get into a seventh dimension. Like, we're not going to get in the fifth dimension just through one generation. You know, it's not, we have to work on it. Like, it's going to be work. And it's not easy work, too. It's very tiresome for your energy, right? I mean, it expands you, but it can wear you down because it's so much energy that you have to work on to get there. And while men in black, they can get to fifth dimension, seventh dimension, hell, they can maybe get to 12th dimension, another planet, and materialize their actual physical form to Pleiades in a second. A speed of light type of thing. Because they're masters of knowing how to manipulate their body. We can't do that. We're not even close to it. I don't think we've ever done that planet in the millions of years that we've been here. You know, it takes us a very long time compared to them to get to a fifth dimension. From a third to a fifth, or a fifth, it takes a long time to come from fifth dimension to a third dimension. So going from a third dimension to a 12th dimension, that seems like maybe millions of years compared to them and what they can do in a short amount of time. So, you know, they're very kind of, I wouldn't say they're mischievous, but they're very much, they know that they're gifted, right, at being able to navigate through realms and dimensions. So they will go through different portals, wormholes, and it's just going to seem so easy. While us humans getting into a portal to the fifth dimension, it's like you do like 2 hours of like meditation and you still haven't got there, right? It's like years, lifetimes, right? So it's kind of a little mischievous in that way. Like, it's like, wow, you did that in a second. But connecting with them, the reason I'm allowed to share this is because the Men in Black within this group, there's different groups because there's different like rankings, police, right? You have the sheriff, then you have different sections within the police, right? They're not all the same. Some police have more difficult, right? They have more difficult departments, right? Like domestic violence is the department is probably, not so relaxing, right? And then other departments, is maybe less intense, right? So there's different departments in Men in Black in which they oversee and surveillance and police different areas of human and ET, presence on this earth, right? In the realms and dimensions. But these groups that have to do with like hybridization and humans who are trying to fulfill their purpose when it comes to being a star being, that's their sort of job description, right? It feels like their actual job is to help these humans, educate them on the whole extraterrestrial experience, because that's actually what's going to happen in our future. Humans are going to become aware that not only UFOs exist, but there are extraterrestrials on this planet, not just reptilians in the government, other types of groups who have other kinds of agendas, right? So this Men in Black group that has to do with hybridization programs and has to do with human beings who are star beings, right? They support humans who are part of the evolution of the human species in educating themselves on these extraterrestrials, because these humans are going to be the ones that are going to help humanity to help humanity when that time comes, when ETs become known and not just UFO. These humans are going to be the ones that are going to provide the information that will help humanity to not lose its mind and not go buy its guns and shoot at UFOs in the sky. They're going to give humans real information about these different groups of ETs and why they're here and what's the purpose of us being aware of them, right? It's because we are becoming cosmic beings. We are a part of already a galactic family, and we have a galactic community, right? That just like we ship our stuff from China, they are not in our soil. They're not in our country. We are part of an international community. It's just you're up in a notch. Now you're saying you're a part of a galactic community where we ship, hey, maybe future we'll be shipping, material from Pleiades or from another planet, or, they've been taking gold from us, other, ET beings, we've been shipping gold to them, maybe in our, past civilizations. So it's like that, right? That type of vibe. But there has to be humans who have already a knowledge of this so that when the time comes, they can be leaders and help people to really understand that this is something not of fear. This is not, let's go crazy and destroy our planet. This is something that's a part of humans, remembrance of the galactic community. But that's not happening anytime soon. Maybe 8 years, I'm hearing, possibly. And that's beginning it, and that's just pushing it. The only reason it will be pushed on us with ET interaction is if we don't listen to Mother Gaia. If we don't listen to Mother Gaia and we don't make the necessary changes, we will have ET connection real quick in 8 years. But if we start to listen to Mother Gaia and follow her instructions for how to go into the Aquarian age and the technology age, then we may not see ETs direct for maybe another 2 decades. But it's coming so soon, and people are not ready. And the ETs know humans are not ready. But because humans are not awakening quicker, that they have to come in, because that's the only way that humans will wake up quicker. Right? Because they've seen the nuclear, development. Okay, and that happened real quick. That happened super quick, and as quick as the nuclear bombs was discovered, as quick as we can extinct ourselves. So they're only making themselves known in our future, maybe years from now, is because humanity is precious. Mother Gaia, Earth is precious, and they do not want us to destroy ourselves and our planet. They want us to grow and evolve and spiritually enlighten ourselves so that we can successfully, join them in becoming, more conscious, right, in the vastness of creation instead of arrogant and naive and selfish. And all, there are beings who have experienced that. There are so many different types of ETs who have destroyed themselves. Just like the Greys, with their obsession with mutating their DNA, where they got extinct. There's all kinds of beings who have extincted themselves, blew up themselves, blew up other planets probably, who have, negative karma with other planets, with themselves, But the balance of the scale always happens, right? The Galactic Confederation always kind of assure that there will be balance. It's not easy, just like it's not easy for Earth to exist and have equilibrium where it's not too hot or not too cold. It took a long time to make that happen, but it happened, so it's not impossible. So it's very possible for the most damaged species out in the universe to repair and to heal, right? So any last messages that want to come through about the Men in Black? Yes, it's really going back to the spiritual awakening. That's why I'm allowed to share this, and that's why this group within the overall, I guess, the department within the policing of the Men in Black that has to do with star beings, they, they're very supportive of humans. I see just young humans. I'm seeing a lot of young humans. They work a lot with young people who are, again, under 28. But they're all older, but I'm just seeing a lot of kids that they connect with, and they're training them. They're teaching them. Actually, Men in Black are teaching some young kids in their dreams how to travel through these realms, how to travel through the dimensions, how to travel through these, I'm seeing wormholes, to get to these other planetary systems. They're teaching them basically how to become cosmic, how to navigate through higher dimension, lower dimension. And it's strange that the Men in Black seem so detached from humans, and they don't care, they're not interested. But then there's a group that seems so supportive of these younger star being generations, or even anybody's a star being, on showing them the ropes of how to remote view, how to astral project. So, if you sincerely, have it in your Sachic record and your karma that you are going to develop your psychic gifts in this life, not everybody has that karma or that Sachic record. They support you. And if you're definitely making contact with ETs about, they're contacting you, it's not so much you contacting that, they don't care if you can contact ET all day long. If an ET is contacting you and is coming around to you, is knocking on your door, and you're not even asking for it, then the Men in Black are going to watch you. Because humans all the time are reaching out to the cosmos, right? Asking for help, asking for, a sign, But when extraterrestrial beings like go out of their way to really get to know you more and give you knowledge and wisdom and that type of thing, maybe when you're not even asking for it, the men in black will definitely take an interest in you. And there's many humans like this. Again, it's not in the thousands, it's in like maybe in the hundreds, right? Of people who are sincerely like connecting directly with these ETs through dreams, through meditation, through channeling, through psychic gifts, because they're a part of the upgrade of the human. They're part of the human evolution, and not everybody is a part of that. Some people are just here to experience the Aquarian age. Some people are just here to clear their karma, to get out of the karma wheel. Some people are just want to learn what it is to be a dharma, to heal or forgive or love. But the human evolution, that is those beings who it took so much energy to come to Earth, because the human body is not calibrated for a Pleiadian soul to hold a frequency in the human avatar. So, when a Pleiadian Arcturian or Lyran being comes directly from a high vibration of 7th, 8th dimension, 10th dimension into a 3rd dimension on Earth as a volunteer or to, evolutionize something, you bet that is going to be high energy, and, extraterrestrial beings will be drawn to that, right? Because that means that you because of that high energy or that frequency, adaptability and alchemy, you're more open to actually receiving higher information, higher vibrational knowledge from extraterrestrials, beings that are benevolent, that want to give this earth the knowledge on how to make the Aquarian age successfully, right? And not destroy yourselves, extinct, that type of thing. But just like the polarity, there are extraterrestrial beings that are somewhat negative, that negative karma with themselves as a species, maybe with this planet and our history. And it's not something to be afraid of. The more that you become of the knowledge of the universe, how to protect yourself, how to have clarity, right? How to see things for what they are, how to transmute. You can transmute whatever negative entity that people think they have. All you do is transmute it. It's just people don't know how to transmute because they're not ready. So it's like, don't be looking for ET if you're not ready. And I think that's why Men in Black are so harsh with humans who are obsessed with a little video camera trying to, go and find them and hunt them down. Because they know the Men in Black are so telepathic, they can read you. They're ancient. They can read you up to probably millions of years and what you've been doing and where you've been going. And if you're not ready, if you don't have the sort of initiation, the sort of shamanistic kind of like development of your mind type of thing, they're not going to give you the knowledge, because as soon as you're presented with a negative ET, you're just going to go berserk, right? And you're not going to know how to transmute it. You're going to go under fear and destroy yourself and get into all these type of you're going to lose your mind. And they know that. So they're like, you're just going to lose your mind. So I'm sorry I'm being harsh, but we're not going to give it to you. We're going to block your memory. We're going to have you forget. So it's a real sort of, I call it like a shamanistic like apprenticeship that you have before you even get ET vibe, because you have to know the whole art of transmutation. How do you transmute energy, right, into higher energy? How do you move through different energies with a clarity and a compass and a direction? It's like a remote viewing or astral projection. Like you need to have a direction and intention. You need to know where you're going. You need to have some kind of like some kind of vibration that can get you there, so that you're not just, you can go in the astral realm and just get lost and just be in all these different weird karmas. And that's no fun. It's just like all you're doing is just traveling the astral realm with no clue. It's like you're in a boat with no row, with no paddles. It's like you're just at the mercy of whatever the waves. So I think this is really the messages that want to come through at this time about the Men in Black. And, my knowledge of them thus far, I mean, it's probably even more, it's deepening all the time. But this is kind of what I feel guided to share about my experience of them, how I came in contact or awareness of them, and also why I am still in a sort of relationship with them, in why I even go to them when I channel. I go to them when I channel about the Aquarian age, humanity, how are we doing as humanity? And the group that has to do with hybridization always comfort me, always let me know, like, hey, there's many timelines going on. There are many agendas, a reptilian agenda, a Pleiadian agenda. And, the polarity on this planet can be real. It can be seeming so light in the love, and then so dark and deepening in the dark. And it's all a part of that vast contrast that we experience. These are the type of responses I get from them. Or, when I ask about, the future of the human, right? It's always about something about the future of the human or the evolution. They show me visions. They show me visions of Pleiadian hybrid kids. They show me visions of the restoring of the reefs through human intervention. And they show me this as a possibility if human were to spiritually grow. That these things of the reefs healing, species maybe going extinct, recovering, population steadying instead of raising, or vastly decreasing, being steady. And they always go back to the humans need support in their spiritual growth. And that's why some Men in Black within this unit or this group, their whole job is to help those star beings who are maybe leaders or who want to really, spiritually awaken just for their own growth, to help them so that as many people can awaken as possible in the next 8 years. Because after this 8-year, if there's not enough spiritually awakened people, it's going to get more aggressive with the type of changes. And it's not going to be comfortable, and it may even feel very restrictive and very authoritative and very forced. It'll feel like a forced change on human beings in the way that you almost feel like you have no freedom. And that will only happen if not enough people spiritually awaken and take back their power and rewrite the destiny of human beings and the fate of this planet. Not Earth. Earth will always continue to grow and heal and evolve and, revolutionize itself. But the human has been extinct. Human has a civilization that has risen, that has fallen. Humans have destroyed themselves and each other. And it's more so about, will humanity be able to spiritually grow enough so put the pride, the ego, the judgment, the shame, the fear aside to do some real soul work, work on that creative intuition, psychic abilities, to really evolutionize the human connection with the planet. That's the goal for these Men in Black group that I'm connecting with. Now, that's not the only, there's different jobs. There's Men in Black who work just with a particular ET group. There's Men in Black who work just with the portals. Men in Black with just with sort of investigating humans or ET groups. So Men in Black, there's so many different groups, right? There's some that work solely with DNA, right? And studying the DNA as scientists. But I'm just sharing the group that most of you guys, if you do have a ET contact or Men in Black type of investigation, is most likely going to be in the group that has to do with hybridization program, and will have to do with some kind of program, Men in Black group that has to do with helping humans who are ready to connect with the galactic confederation or galactic community, to help them, better understand and support them in learning the ETs, in the different types, and learning the history and learning the knowledge, and also learning about how to navigate through that, how to transmute. So I will leave you guys with this, and Satnam.